reports are out. There's a bug that's up to 75% fatal that is in the Wuhan Institute of Virology that was developed along the same time as whatever got out or whatever got around, however it happened, that let me say it could wipe out 3/4 of all the people that get it. And if it's highly infectious, that could be a huge toll on our population, taking most of the people. This would be far worse than even the bubonic plague. And this thing might just be sitting there ready to escape from the lab. But they're so good, they would never, let anything get out. Nothing ever got out in the past, right? My friends, there's much to be concerned about here. So let me kind of get into this and tell you about this report. This is some of the worst news I brought on here, and I just hate doing this report because it is something we're going to have to be ready for, something we got to be prepared for. Is this why the WHO is talking about something much worse that'll be out in the next couple of years? What do they know? And how in the world did Dr. Alchi predict the last outbreak would occur within a certain 4-year period, if you know what I'm talking about? Holy smoke, guys. This is Greg Allison with Green Greg's channel. If you're not subscribed, subscribe, bang the notification bell, and click more all, because I got a lot of news to bring. I got a lot of other reports to do, and I should be later today on the Canadian Prepper Show. All right, guys. So breaking this is a deadlier Wuhan flu, which is said to reside in that lab. Just before the cerveza bug, I should say, also I'll call it the C bug because I got to be cryptid on this channel, on this platform. Before the cryptid bug, the C bug broke out and the pandemic started, researchers at the Wuhan Institute of Virology in China were intentionally fusing hazardous coronaviruses to produce a new mutant viruses. This is according to a recent report published in the Sunday Times by this is a British newspaper, guys. Investigators there reportedly claimed that the Chinese military funded researchers at the Wuhan Center while also researching biological weapons. Now, as this part of that, I've talked about that kind of program in the past. In a startling expose, the Sunday Times claims that China has created a mutant coronavirus with the intention of utilizing them, several in fact, as bioweapons, while also working on a vaccine to protect its people. Now, the U.S. State Department investigators reportedly had access to classified information on what they had been doing, what was happening there in China in the months and years prior to the emergence of the C bug, as the world was coming out of lockdowns, according to this study. The U.S. Intelligence Services intercepts gave actually more than a dozen investigators unmatched access to metadata, phone information, and internet information, which supposedly indicated these things were true according to this report. And I'm throwing all the qualifiers in there, according to this report, allegedly, and you hope you understand why. The Sunday Times interviewed 3 investigators and came to the conclusion that the Wuhan scientists were using a RATG 13 from the Mojang mine in their test, that the Institute had been engaged in secret military research prior to the epidemic. Now, I guess that's the name of the virus, the bug they were doing, the RAT. It's not rat, right? It's R, little a, big R, little a, big TG 13, whatever that means. So the sources stated that 9 different, let's say that again, 9 different C bug variations were being developed by the experts at the Wuhan lab. Again, this is according to them. I ain't saying it was or isn't or what. I'm just telling you what this report says. I'm bringing you a report here, guys, which is extremely disturbing. Anyway, if it's true, this is a lot to be concerned about. 6 workers excavating an abandoned copper mine in southern China's province of Mojang in 2012 contracted a mysterious sickness with fever, cough, and pneumonia as symptoms. 3 of the men required hospital care, and one of them ultimately passed away. These males tested negative for any symptoms of established disease that they knew about, but had antibodies to an unidentified cerveza bug. Yeah. So the Mojang cave was a home to a sizable bat colony, and it was covered with guano and bat feces, of course. You know, bat feces is guano, one and the same. In the isolated mountains of the Yunnan province in southern China, the virus was found in a cave. The team that discovered the findings was led by Dr. Shi Jingli. We've talked about her before a couple times on this channel. She's a renowned Chinese researcher at the Wuhan Institute of Virology and is known as the country's Batwoman. But according around 2018, according to these reports, the Wuhan Institute of Virology started fusing SARS-like viruses with the K virus known as WIV1, using the initials of the Wuhan lab. So they named it basically their lab number 1. The project, according to Richard Ebright, he's a professor of chemical biology at Rutgers University, is one of the most hazardous C-bug viruses experiments ever carried out. So this is they developed this where it would be 3 times deadlier than the original WIV1. The combo of viruses actually terminated 75% of the albino mice, which had lungs developed which are similar to humans. Yeah. But anyway, according to the Sunday Times, the scientists had produced a highly contagious super C-bug virus with a terrifying termination rate. I don't use a KILL word, that almost certainly would never have emerged in nature. The new genetically altered virus wasn't the C-bug 19 version that had leaked, but it might have been considerably more lethal had it leaked. Now, grant money, get this will get you britches, if anything don't. Grant money from EcoHealth Alliance, allegedly, according to these sources, helped to partially finance these gain-of-function experiments. The president of EcoHealth Alliance, Peter Daszak, did not mention the infected mice's termination rates in the report that he sent to the NIH in April of 2018, according to records obtained under the Freedom of Information Act. Allegedly, according to some sources, this was funded by a certain jab proponent, who we should just refer to as Dr. Ouchie, if you know what I mean, if you get my drift. Anyway, according to reports, Daszak submitted a second grant request to the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, asking for $14 million over 3 years. DARPA, however, turned down the request for funding for that study. Now, I've seen that mentioned 2 or 3 times already. So that little piece of data is not new from this report. That's been out there. Be it true, be it not, I don't know, guys. But why is Peter Daszak still running around free submitting stuff today? Yeah. Anyway, the Sun, when you hear the rest of this, you're going to be somewhat less than happy, I would think. The Sunday Times said the proposal, called Diffuse, suggested that the Wuhan laboratory find a lot of new SARS bugs and combine them with their 2 lethal strains, the ones from the laboratory from the Shitao Cave, WIV1 and SCH014, to see what would happen. Oh, yeah, let's just combine all these deadly bugs, the worst stuff we can come up with. Let's just see what we can cook up. Why would they do that? Several researchers at the Wuhan Institute of Virology allegedly became ill in November 2019 and were rushed to the hospital with symptoms resembling that certain C-bug with the number 19 on it. One of the laboratory employees' relatives is said to have passed away from some unidentified sickness. Anyway, they were conducting cutting-edge C-bug research in the lab. And again, I got to use those cryptic terms here. So we were rock solid confident that this was most definitely that C-bug number 19, a scientist stated. They were experienced biologists in their 30s and 40s that were messing around with this and got sick. And this is according to those sources, again, allegedly, all right? And then, according to the Sunday Times, which cited 2 American experts who worked with the Wuhan Institute of Virology, researchers at the Wuhan facility that were carrying out risky experiments at the time of the epidemic, which occurred 1 month before the West learned about this mystery virus. Yeah. These investigators also allegedly found proof that the Institute was using at least one of the mining viruses in serial pathogen operations. Now, in this procedure, lab animals were exposed to many viral strains in order to determine which one is damaging to their health. To urge the infections to change into something more lethal, repeated trials would use only the strains that caused the most harm. The investigators met with the Wuhan Institute source who said the RATG13 was the subject of serial pathogen tests. So they developed it by, you find the worst one of many bugs and you keep infecting the animals, and the ones that do the most damage, you use it again and infect more animals. And so they're able, according to the source, through serial pathogen with humanized mice, come up with this toxic combination. It hastens the process of mutation, they claim. Therefore, it may take weeks or months to mutate rather than years. So it ensures that the process of natural selection, these natural processes, are sped up. Yikes. There has never been a case of a bat bug directly infecting humans and ending human lives, according to Dr. Stephen Quay. Well, it sounds like one of them might have, what I just reported. Anyway, Dr. Stephen Quay is a U.S. expert who provided advice to the State Department during its studies. The State Department did a study on this, in addition, I guess, to what they had already supposedly known from intel sources. So according to Quay, the C bug number 19 was produced by serially passing one of the mining viruses via humanized mice after having a foreign cleavage site inserted into it. Oh, yeah, we're talking genetic engineering. You're talking gene splicing. This matches the findings of Dr. Paul Cantrell. We mentioned earlier on this channel 3 years ago when I was interviewing him. He said, hey, there's an artificial splice right in the middle of this virus. So said there's one on each end. He said, that's not natural, that you got a splice right in the middle and two in the end. He said, that's just not natural. The normal processes of mutation shouldn't lead to something that's that neatly cleaved. So this kind of matches, these allegations match what Dr. Cottrell is found when he was looking over the genomic data. Anyway, Dr. Quay provided the U.S. Senate with a statement outlining the procedure. You infect the mice, wait a week or so, then recover the viruses from the sickest mice, then you repeat. In a matter of weeks, this directed evolution will produce a virus that can off every humanized mouse. Okay, he is not saying 3/4. He said every humanized mouse. Whew. This explains why the pandemic bug was so incredibly well adapted to infect humans from the start of the outbreak, according to him. So maybe there was a version that was a little bit less than every mouse that got out of the house. Due to the fact that the trials were part of a top secret Chinese military funded program, the Sunday Times pointed out that no information about them has ever been made public. Well, duh. Investigators from the U.S. State Department discovered that the Wuhan Institute of Virology had been carrying out tests for the Chinese military since at least 2017, at least. I showed y'all that book some time back, the strategy written by that Chinese general and Chinese admiral, where they were laying out all their different programs for development, and this was part of it, weaponized bugs. And they wrote about this. I talked about this like 3 years ago. Anyway, so here's the big question in my book. Given that and they knew what they knew, then why did the DIH fund this if this were known. Yeah, see my Swivel Head News version. I got a video on there on my Rumble channel, on my Rumble Swivel Head News, where just look at this video I did on there. I posted one about 3 months ago with Dr. Paul Cottrell, where I talk about the origins of this. We talk about it together. And that video is shocking. It is just really shocking. Anyway, he lays it more on the feet on our side, but this puts it more on the other side. But apparently, we got some folks that had their finger in it. It looks like. Anyway, this is all extremely disturbing. According to the article, the Chinese military was interested in creating a vaccination for the viruses in order to use them as possible bioweapons. As we now know, the CCP bugs were, their vaccinations, their vaccines, were a dismal failure. A nation could change the balance of power in the globe if they could vaccinate its citizens against their own hidden sicknesses. This is extremely dangerous, my friends, extremely dangerous. I'm going to talk about that more in just a moment. The British publication was informed by a U.S. investigator that said, my view is that the reason Mojang was covered up was due to the military secrecy related to the People's Liberation Army's pursuit of dual-use capabilities in virological, biological weapons and vaccines. The Sunday Times said that Zhao Yusen, a respected military scientist at the academy who had worked with the Wuhan researchers on the study of MERS coronaviruses, was collaborating with them at the time of the outbreak. And he was the PLA's, People's Liberation Army's, own vaccine specialist. As the pandemic started, suspicion was cast his way as he swiftly developed a patent for the C-bug vaccine in February 2020, just over a month from the China's initial announcement of this bug going global. Dr. Robert, I talked about him. We call him the Bat Doctor in one of my videos way back in early 2020. We'll mention him again anyway. So Dr. Robert Kadlik, who oversaw the United States vaccine development program, co-authored a report that was released in April that came to the conclusion that Zhao's team had to be developing that vaccine no later than November 2019. That's right when it allegedly started, if it indeed infected those people that worked in the lab that just seemingly got sick by something that had just seemingly the same symptoms, allegedly, whatever. Anyway, it's really strange that Dr. Zhao passed away at the age of just 54 in May of 2020, right after all this stuff got started. Allegedly, he had the bug. Maybe this was convenient that he passed away. He knew too much, maybe. I don't know, guys. You can speculate all this stuff, left, right, up, down, in every direction till the cows come home. But what are the real answers? What are the, we can ask the right questions, but what are the real answers? I can't say that, I can't vouch for this stuff and say it's actually true. That's highly suspicious. These reports are bombshell reports. Because if there's a bug like that, and if the one bug got loose, what's going to keep another one from getting loose? See, and this is not just a problem with the Chinese Institute of Virology. We have in the West, in the United States, and in the Netherlands, I'm told, I think maybe Malaysia also, in labs developed versions of the H1N5 bird flu virus that are up to 50% terminal if they get out, that are highly, these, not the wild virus, the ones they develop are human transmissible. That stuff gets out, that would be like the bubonic plague. This one bug they're talking about that they claim has a 75% termination of life type of statistic is worse than the bubonic plague, should it get loose. Let's hope that never happens. But what if they do develop a vaccine for it? when it actually works instead of the ones they developed. And it is talked about and said and alleged from many sources, and has been for some time, that these bugs can be developed where they would genetically go after certain peoples and not other certain peoples. Now, how can you be sure they won't mutate and come back at you with your little Frankenstein bugs? Maybe that's why they would make them go that way, but then have a vaccine just in case. Would it work? Would somebody be tempted to use something like that? Was the release of this stuff intentional? Did it come from a piece of meat in the Wuhan meat market? Kind of hard to swallow that one. Given they just happen to be working on this kind of stuff in the laboratory, and oh no, they weren't doing it. But then again, yeah, what were all these grant requests about? Just that kind of thing, right? What was Dr. Zhao and Xing Li working on, right? So yeah, this is Batman and Batwoman. That's the kind of stuff they were working on. That's known. That's just all coincidental. It's just coincidental that it all came out of Wuhan. Coincidences happen. Yeah. Anyway, so this is highly disconcerting. This is a very disturbing report. So what can you do about it? Keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel. I'll be bringing you news as soon as something breaks out, but it might not be to break out over there this time. If they really want to hit us, if they wanted to take, here's the thing, guys. When you look at a crime, you look for means and motive, right? Allegedly, the means exist, but what would be the motive? Taking Taiwan, global dominance. United States, might be in the way of taking Taiwan and global dominance, maybe. So maybe they would aim it at us. Maybe they would do this and then hit us with an EMP, so that once the EMP hits, we're already laid flat and just ain't got the whatever it takes to respond. Just speculation. It's wild speculation. I hate to speculate, but you got to ask what the why is, if there is a why. This is biblical. This is like the worst nightmare out of the book of Revelations, should these things happen. So when I bring you this news, as I tell you, the proposition is channel, except you survive, thrive, and stay on the hide. What do you got to do? First, you got to be aware. Keep your eyes wide open, head on yourself. Then we got to figure out what to do about it, what really works this time around. And do we have any choice? Because the World Health Organization just conveniently warned us that within the next couple of years, we're going to have an outbreak that's way worse than the one we just had. How do they know that? Oh, yeah. And by the way, they're pushing, and they push for being able to, this WHO treaty to basically take over a country and run how things are done, should there be another demic, whatever kind of demic it is. Pan, whatever you want to call the suffix to the demic. Wow, guys, this is you just got to wonder. I mean, what's really going to get loose? Will anything get loose? What's going to unfold? Is this whole thing being primed? Is it all accidental? Well, you don't develop stuff in a laboratory accidentally. Somebody had a plan if they did this stuff. A very evil plan, like the evil mad scientist of the old movies, 40 in cartoons 40 years ago. I want to take over the world. Well, maybe they're there. Maybe that's come to pass. I hope not. But what can you do personally? Well, first off, get your immune system as well good and high as you can get it. One of the best things you can do is eat broccoli, especially broccoli microgreens, which are more highly concentrated in vitamins and has a lot of sulforaphane, which forms the glutathiones, which are essential to your immune system. Do everything you can to build up your immune system. And anything that builds up the glutathiones is helpful for that, and a whole lot of other health applications. Other things you can do is take your antioxidants, exercise, get fresh air, eat good food. Don't eat that processed junk. That'll tear you down. I'll tell you what I'm starting to do. I've gone to this C60 here, because this is one of the top antioxidants, guys. This stuff can neutralize up to each one of these carbon 60 molecules can oxidize up to 8 of the highly charged free radicals. And I think they can get rid of that and replenish and go again. So this stuff is highly potent in that regard. And I feel a lot better since I started taking this stuff. You got here an avocado, and you got this coconut oil version. It's late. I'm getting brain locked. Anyway, try that stuff. I mean, it's not cheap. If you go to shopc60.com, you can get a 10% off discount if you put in Greg 10. Greg 10. I don't get anything for that. So, but you know, what else I tell you to do? Get out of the cities. Get away from the cities. Get out. The city is going to be a bad place to be. Try if this thing breaks out. You know, if you got a medical need, try to get it taken care of now, while we're in a lull between whatever's going on. Anything that might need to put you in a hospital or a medical procedure, get it taken care of now. You don't want to be in a facility, one of these facilities where sick people are rolling through should another bug come through. You want to get isolated. I mean, move way out somewhere and grow your own food. Become self-reliant, so you ain't got to go be buying all that junk they're selling you, and you'll save money. And if the, you know, look, what's going to happen when all this stuff happens, whether it's real or imagined, if you think the supply chains got shut down last time, oh, Sunday school picnic, a total Sunday school picnic. You better be as self-reliant as you can get. Grow your own food. Get some worms. Get some, I covered videos on what you can do with that. I might be selling them again soon. If not, I will start putting links up for other places for you to get them. But guys, grow your own food. Grow heirloom vegetables that you can save the seeds from and replant, so that you can be self-reliant there. And I got links below to Eden Brothers and my Tree Leaf Market. You go to those places and you can be good. That'll help you. It'll help me too if you shop with those links. Check my links below, guys. Heirloom seeds, that's what you need. Open air pollinate, whatever you want to call them. Heirloom seeds, the kind that you can plant and get the same plant back again. Hybrid seeds don't work for that. Seeds are very vital. Seeds are a huge prepping resource. They don't take up a lot of space and volume. I mean, and if all goes down a lot of money, just got to take care of them. So be ready, get your immune system up. And we'll just have to keep eye on this and see what unfolds. Let's pray, hope and pray that this don't come any day. But what I always tell you guys, prep and pray. That's one of my monikers on here, prep and pray. All right, I've said enough. Thank you for watching, everyone. Seriously pray, though. Our world needs it right now more than ever. Let's hope that this they may have the means, but let's hope that the motive doesn't get high enough, that they keep a little bit of sanity and decide not to do something this crazy. If they do, God help us. With that, I'm going to say thank you for watching, and Greg out.